Recording?
Okay.
All
Perfect.
right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you have a lot of questions about the Canadian taxes, this is the night that you don't want to miss. So I'm Ying Harlan from Ontario, Canada. I am a mom, a corporate employee for 30 years, who's retiring next month. And
Yay!
I can't wait. Like many other people, I realize that relying on just one income may not always be enough, especially with the rising cost of living. So, I became curious about learning new ways to build an additional income stream online while still working full time. So, tonight's conversation will be about our incentives of having this business. So, I have Joseph here with us, who is a retired IT professional and a financial coach, who will answer all your questions about taxes. All right, so let's begin. So go ahead, introduce yourself, Joseph.
Yes, thank you so much, Ate Ying. So again, Ate Ying, thank you so much for hosting this session with all of our viewers here. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. My name is Joseph from Hamilton, Canada. So let me just, can I share my screen, Ate Ying, if you don't mind?
Mhm.
Okay. So just a little, can you see my screen, everyone?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Okay. Yes, nandyan na. Nandyan
Yeah,
na.
okay.
Yeah.
So just a quick introduction about me and my family. So I'm born in, raised in Manila, Philippines. Actually, we migrated here with my mom and my dad, my siblings, 1980, right? 1980 pa. So we were very, very fortunate that our parents had made that move for all of us, my siblings. I'm a proud husband with two wonderful boys who are in their career now. They started their career, and thank goodness they have a job. So very grateful for that. I am a retired IT professional from the banking industry. So I served 34 years in the same bank with Ati Ying. We just found out that we work for the same company. I did 34 years of that in one company, which I'm very, very proud of. I worked for, yeah, that's the 3 decades pretty much. I'm a financial coach and a financial advocate. So I'm self-taught on financial planning and retirement planning. I taught myself, I don't know, more than 10 years before I decided to retire and call it quits. But at the same time, I found this digital business in December 2023. So never look back. So love to travel and explore the world, especially more of the Philippines. To be honest with you, I'm biased. I love spending time with family there back home sa Philippines. Um, so for those of you who are here, we encourage you to use the chat box below, and if you want, ask your questions. That way, Ate Ying can facilitate, and we can answer them real time. Real time. Okay. So I did prepare a presentation to all of you, and by all means, if you have a questions, feel free to stop me. Okay, feel free to stop me. So my first slide, it really is an opener about a lot of people. Maybe we have some new business owners here. They may be asking, okay, what do we identify or what do we describe our business? So in CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, when you file your taxes, right, they're going to ask you, okay, what kind of business are you running? So in our digital business, the industry code that a lot of us have been using, and some people may be using a different one, and that's okay too, as long as you stay consistent with it. But the industry code for our digital business is really this one: advertising, public relations, and related services. So that code is 541800. Okay, so that's what I use to file my business tax. And by the way, by all means, for those of you who are thinking of filing on your own, and that's fine too. You can do that. But my recommendation has always been hire an accountant, and the reason for that is because accountant can give you a lot more um, ways, a lot more ideas as to what you can expense, right? Kasi meron silang, obviously they know the books, they know everything behind the scenes. they know what to do when it comes to filing, and they can be more efficient that way. And when you hire an accountant, there's a cost to it, of course. I mean, obviously, you want to hire someone that's very, first of all, registered accountant, and someone that's very creative in a way that it follows the CRA guidelines, okay? The CRA guidelines. So the principle is really very simple. When you file, you want to stay as consistent as possible, okay? When you file it every year, you want to stay as consistent, meaning, you have advertising expense, you have, all those categories. You have to make sure that you identify them, even your travel expenses for the events, for the training, for all that stuff. You got to make sure that you file them consistently and accordingly. You cannot change, because when you sort of change your, I would say, the expense categories, right? The ones that you select for the claim, that sometimes triggers an alert, and sometimes you can get audited by it, right? So to me, the basic principle is make sure that you stay consistent, and number two is you only claim whatever you have incurred as a cost in your business. Okay, that's very, very important, right? That basic principle of incurring a cost to run my business, to operate my business, that's what you can claim. Pero if you have a expense for your personal use, that's a no-no. Okay, that's a no-no. So you have to also be disciplined in a way, right? You have to be disciplined in a way and make sure that whatever you're claiming is indeed for your business. Okay. So that being said, that's the industry code. The first question that was given to Ate Ying is this. Let me just show this. So question is, can we claim the machine we purchased last year? If so, how? Yes, you can claim it as long as you have not claimed it before. Okay, you cannot claim it twice. So, but if you didn't claim it last year, you can claim it this year, because that machine is really your distributor license, right? That is your distributor license. Although if you don't have a distributor license, you cannot operate the business. So this machine you can claim, and it can fall under license cost as a category. Okay. Now, before I continue, there are two categories on the in making a claim, right? There's a direct expenses, direct cost, and indirect cost, indirect expenses. So direct cost, example of that is just what we said, the machine, okay? Advertising, that's a direct cost, right? Your travel, I guess you could say your registration for your events, that's a direct cost, right? Office supplies, that's also a direct cost. So the indirect costs are the ones that are actually shared. Like a good example of it is utilities, home utilities, right? Your heating, your gas, your electricity, excuse me, there are indirect costs. So in doing so, there is sort of a calculation, because I would assume that you are claiming for your home office. There's a space in your home office, which I will answer. There's a question about this anyway. I'm just jumping the gun. But you can actually use your, let's say, 10 by 10 office or 20 by 20 feet office space, and you can actually calculate the ratio in which you can claim for your business for that home office. So the indirect cost is really you're claiming against the utilities, right? With using the ratio of your home office space at home. So I can show you that in the other slides, but to answer this question, can we claim the machine we purchased last year? The answer is yes, as long as you have never claimed it before, okay? The second question now is, in Tagalog, kung walang sales or T4A, can we still claim mga expenses that related to the business, like GoDaddy, internet, etc.? Excuse me. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. You can claim it because, remember, when you file your taxes, typically you as a business owner, an entrepreneur, you have to establish what you call a fiscal year. The fiscal year is when you started your business, and 12 months after is sort of the end of your fiscal year, right? It's not a calendar year. It's not like January to December, right? That's called calendar year. Fiscal year is when you started your business. So let's say you started launching your business, you created your funnel, and you're ready to start launching your business. Let's say you launched it, I don't know, March 1st, 2025. So that is your start of your fiscal year, your operational year, right? March 1st, 2025. And then your end would be February 28th, 2026, right? So that's what you call fiscal year. And that's the year in which you are actually filing your taxes, okay? Those operational year. So March 1st, 2025 till February 28th, 2026, that is your operational year. And it just goes on year after year. It's the same thing year over year, okay? So the answer to this question, yes, you can actually file because you are already operating your business, right? Doesn't matter if your T4 hasn't come in yet or you don't have any sales, you can claim your expenses as long as you've incurred them in running and operating your business, okay? Third question, can we add our product renewal as business expense? And what is the expense category? Excuse me. The answer again is yes. You may add your product renewal as a business expense under the category of business startup cost or license or fees and dues. So remember, in the first question, I already talked about this. For us to become a distributor, we have to have the product, right? Now, that's also a renewal, which is a cost in which we, as licensed distributors, need to renew to maintain our distributor license. So that's why this question applies. And yes, you can definitely renew every year. So if you have an UCON that you renew every year, you actually put that in as your expense, business expense on a yearly basis, okay? As your license or fees dues to run the business, okay? Is that clear? Everybody follow? Everybody follow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So next question. So this is related more to indirect expense, right? So far we've talked about mainly direct expenses, right? Your renewal, your product renewal, and your product licensing and stuff like that. Those are all direct costs. So now we're going into more of an indirect cost. What is the ideal percentage of home use expense? So as I mentioned earlier, you have to establish your working space at home. You have to measure how much space you use for your home, at home for your business, okay? So typically they'll be 10 by 10, 10 feet by 10 feet. That's 100 feet, 100 square feet, right? Or sometimes it's 15 by 15, right? So that's about 225 square feet, right? Something like that. So I gave you a bit of a calculation here, how to measure, right? So if it's 10 by 10 feet, it's 100 feet of square foot of space. This is for your business. This is how you're running your business at home with this square footage, okay? So going to the next question, what is the ideal percentage of home use expense? So I said typically, like I said, right? This is just another example. In my case, I'm using 10 feet by 20 feet. So it's 200 square foot. Then you would calculate the ratio to claim with your total square footage of your whole home. So let's say your whole house, the living space of your whole house is 1,000 square feet, just a number, right? So you take your 200 square foot of your home office, you divide it by 1,000, which is your total square footage of your home. You multiply it then by 100, you get 20%. So 20% is your ratio in which you can claim for your business expense at home. Okay, so 20%. So now there's the other question that people sent in. So now you have a 20% ratio in terms of using your home. Part of your home is 20% office use, okay? Business use, 20%. So then the question comes, how do I allocate the sharing of internet expense, right? How much percent can I claim? See, internet expense really, in a way, if CRA looks at this, it's a shared expense, right? Because your kids are using it, you're using it for your Netflix, you're using it for, so it's an indirect expense, okay? Internet expense, right? So if you want to calculate how much you can claim or write off as your internet expense, well, you can actually include it as part of your utilities expense, right? So utilities, the annual utilities, heat, water, electricity, and internet, you can all combine them as an indirect expense, and then you take the annual cost of that. So let's say your annual cost of your utility is $2,000 annually, annually for all of your utilities. Okay, that's heat, water, electricity, and internet. Let's say it comes down to $2,000 annually. You then multiply this 20% with your home office use, then it equals to 400. So $400 is your claim for that year as your utility expense. Okay, is that clear to everyone? Is it? Did I lose it? Did I lose you guys?
Thumbs up if you're okay or nothing or it needs clarification.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, Joseph. Okay. See, I'm not filing my income tax by myself. We have an accountant.
Very good.
So, but these haven't really explained to me specifically how it's being claimed. Like, I don't even remember claiming my office, just like what you just mentioned. I never mentioned that to them. So now I have this information that I could talk to my accountant this year.
Yes. Yeah. So
It would be better.
very good question, Ate Victorina, right? So, we all, we all depend on these professionals, okay? Whether it's your retirement planner, your financial advisor, your banker, your accountant, stuff like that. Sometimes you have to challenge them, unfortunately, right? You have to challenge them. And this is the reason why I really like this podcast that Ate Ying and I sort of created, because with our knowledge and with our experience in this space, the idea is to really create awareness and educate and inspire people so that they can have more control and more meaningful conversation with the professionals, right?
Yes.
I will tell you this. I challenge my investment advisor all the time. I challenge my accountant all the time. And meaning I'm not saying binabastos ko sila or I'm not respecting them. I do respect them by all means. But sometimes you have to really challenge them in a good way, that sometimes they forget these things, or sometimes they don't know how you're running your business or how your expectations are. That's why you have to ask these questions. Okay, you really have to ask this. Alam mo, before when I hired an accountant, I actually asked him. I said, "Can you please give me a template so that I can organize my expenses in which whatever I can claim for my business?" Well, some of them gives you a just generic template. And then when you start filling in the categories, they'll say, "Oh, no, you can't do this, you can't do that." Sometimes they're just in a rush to give you the information. But really, what it comes down to is the details in which you want, so that you can have that more meaningful conversation with them. I'm saying ask the questions, ask the right questions, because sometimes they don't think about those things, because they handle multiple clients, right? They don't really focus on the nitty-gritty details. So that's why I'm here to create and Ate Ying here is also here to create the awareness for everyone, because you need to always, bottom line is you're always supposed to be managing your business and your expenses, and you're responsible for it, ultimately accountable for it. Not so much of your accountant. Your accountant is there. It's just to give you an advice and to protect you from CRA, right? But you have to really know your business. You have to really know your game. So by doing these research or by talking to people, by collaborating and by learning, you're gonna have these conversations. I mean, they could be tough conversations, but it's okay. But it's really for your own good. It really is for your own good. So don't be afraid to challenge them and clarify, right? Because they can say, oh, the reason why I didn't claim this because this, that. It has to make sense. If it does not make sense, then there's obviously a concern. Okay, it has to make sense to you as the client, but an accountant is giving you professional advice, which that's what you're actually expecting. But if you feel that your accountant is not doing their job correctly, then you gotta really decide whether you want to continue or you go somewhere else.
Find
Right?
another one. Yeah.
A good accountant will always take your side. Now, he or she will tell you if it's wrong or not. That's fine, but he or she should be protecting you, and they should become your advisor for as long as you are engaged with the transaction with your accountant. Okay, they're not there just to file your taxes, by the way. Just to let you know, they're not there just to file your taxes. You can actually ask your accountant, can you please model my you can even say retirement planning, high level, right? Please model my retirement plan for me, high level. How much do I need to retire by the age of this, right? And then obviously there's some criteria. I mean, I know I'm digressing, but all I'm saying is we all have to be accountable to our business, and especially to our financial, financial situations, right? We have to know, and we can't just rely on their expertise sometimes, because they sometimes would not. I wouldn't say they forget. I would say sometimes they don't know, or they don't have time to ask the right questions. That's why you have to be more. I always call it not so much of aggressive, but more of you have to be more passive. You have to be more passive, meaning always thinking ahead, right? When you're speaking to these professionals, okay? Sure, they have the accreditation, they have the license, and they can sell their services and products. But to me, if people can learn this and become a financial, I would say, guru, you can still have a great conversation with them, because the only difference is they can sell their services, and the person that's self-taught is really, you don't have to sell services, but the things that you're talking about, right? So again, there's a lot of ways of really tackling that situation. But I would say if you are not getting the sense from your accountant or from your professionals, then you got to start looking somewhere else, right? And again, they have to have some explanation in with your questions, right? So, Atiin, you have a question? Sorry.
No, I don't have a question, but I wanted to just say something.
Sure.
I think what's happening is a lot of us hire these professionals, and we kind of expect them to know what we should be getting. Well, but a lot of us as business owners are not very knowledgeable in the beginning. Like I know some of them, and because some of us, and I'm gonna be honest, most of us are not very knowledgeable when it comes to tax, right?
Yes.
So we just kind of rely on these professionals that we pay $700 to do. Okay, here's my expenses and my income. Here, please do my taxes. But we really need to be knowledgeable of our own.
Yes.
Because we're running a business too, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
pero may mga tanong doon. Kasi katulad may nagtanong dito, most accountants are not familiar with our type of online business as self-employed. So they don't agree with all our business expenses. So, mayroon lang nagtanong na isa sa chat.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. I would be very concerned. So one of the reason why you hire an accountant is because you want to make sure that they protect you. Okay, they protect you. So if these are expenses that are legitimate in terms of running your business, then the accountant should know what expense categories or what they can claim for, right? It's very, it's really simple. It really is simple. The principle that I talked about. If you incurred a cost in terms of running and operating your business, that is a legitimate expense claim. Legitimate, right? And if you want, call CRA. CRA is free. You can actually call CRA and ask them, can I claim this or whatever? Like you can actually ask them that question, and they'll tell you yes, or no, yes or no. Obviously there's some criterias that they will, ask you, but you can call CRA and it's for free, right? So if your accountant is telling you that he doesn't know the business and stuff, well then that's too bad. Then you might have to look for another accountant, right? I'll tell you something though. If an accountant doesn't want to learn about the business, then your investment is not worthwhile, right? It's not worthwhile because your accountant needs to know. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, maybe the accountant just didn't want to take on your services, because a good accountant will know what to do when you tell them, describe me how you operate your business. And you will describe it to them, right? So by just that description of how we're running our business, the accountant should already know. To be honest with you, they should already know. Okay? So I hope that answers your question, because like I said, there are good accountants out there, and there are ones that are not so good accountants out there. So you just have to be very selective. And I would suggest maybe, get some referrals, right? Referral from someone, of an accountant, and obviously an accountant that's been doing this for a while, right? For a long time, right?
Joseph, meron lang
Yeah.
nagtanong dito na it's at the beginning of your topic. Is it
Sure.
okay to change our industry code from previous code I used? I think it's that 541.
Yeah, 541-800. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, you can. You just have to make sure that you explain the reason why you're changing it. Okay. Yes, you can. The answer is yes, you can. Again, you know what? CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, if you can explain the reasons why you're changing things, they have no problem. They have no problem of accepting the change. So as long as you have a good explanation. So yes, my answer to that question is yes. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people have done that. They made a mistake. They changed. They had a different industry code, and now they realize that they should be on this industry. CRA will accept that because they will know that you're trying your best, especially if you're filing it on your own. They're very lenient actually when you're filing it on your own and making these corrections. They actually appreciate it because you're trying to make it right. So the answer is yes to that question, Ate Ying.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good. I think Gemma have 2 questions.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gemma.
Hi, Joseph. Thank you for me being here. And Ying. So my 2 questions, I'm just gonna read. So first, I used code 541810 last year because this was the code that was suggested in our community. So my question is this still okay to use, or
Yes. It is, because it's not far. It's not far from what I remember. That is very close to the advertising category.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you are suggesting that I should use this to be consistent, or
You could
should I
you could continue using it. I mean, what was the description? That typically the industry code of that number has a description. Can you read me the description?
Hindi ko po alam eh.
Okay.
In
So
fact, naalala ko, I think it was Mike or Darren who suggested that as well. I think it was Darren. Kasi sa
okay.
flock, yeah.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, it's very close to the
Yeah.
industry code that I showed you. It's very close, and it's not a big, huge change. If you want to keep it, that's fine. If you want to change it, that's fine too. But it's very similar to what I had earlier. So I would not bother changing it because it's, like I said, it's very similar.
Okay. Thank you so much. And then my second is I still work full time, so I have a T4. But for my business, my accountant used the statement or business or professional activities. Yeah. The statement of business or professional activities in filing my business. So tama po yun?
That's more of a, well, you have to ask him that question why he did it that way. Because I mean, obviously your business, you haven't incorporated your business. It's still sole proprietorship, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So that's probably one of the reasons why he filed it that way, because it's sole proprietorship. Okay. Now,
Okay.
when you start earning $60,000 to $100,000 a year on your business, I highly, highly recommend you ask him the question, should I incorporate my business? Why? Because incorporating the business, one, lowers your taxes, right? Taxes that you pay for the business. And number two, it protects you for any liability from your business towards your personal. Okay. So that's why the incorporation is very, very important. It protects you from liability when something goes wrong with your business. Okay. So that's okay. I think it's okay because since it's sole proprietorship, but you should ask him the question, what is the reasoning why he did it that way? Okay.
So, Jules, anong tamang form?
Well, there's many
Kung
forms.
wala pang T4A na
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
T4A na business, yeah.
Yeah, so meron siya mga ibang form din, pero to me, I guess my question would be is what was his reasoning why he did that? I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I agree
Yeah,
what he did in terms of sole proprietorship, right? As a business owner. I'm okay with that. You just want to just ask him why, what's the reason why was it not just filed separately? Because what you don't want is to mix your expenses between personal and business, right? So okay, so maybe that's the other question. Did he have a separate expense categories for business and personal? Because if that's the case, then it's okay to file it that way.
Yes.
Okay.
It's separate. Yeah.
Okay.
So my T4 is on top, and then on the back is the statement of business or professional activities, and then the expenses is also attached to that statement.
Okay.
So hindi siya magkasama dun sa T4 ko na
Yeah.
employment.
That's fine.
And
No, that's
I
okay.
think also, Joseph, I think during that time also she doesn't also understand what my business is. So inexplain ko lang din na online business. Tinatanong nga niya, ano ba yung GEM? So sabi ko, bali we are running through ads, ganyan. Hindi rin siya ata familiar. So
Yeah.
I think maybe that's the reason why she used this.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with what she did. There's nothing wrong with what she did. It's actually right in a way in which how your personal and your business is sort of tied in together right now, kasi nga it's sole proprietorship siya, right? So, but like again, my suggestion is, maybe you should ask her as well. Once you reach the 60,000 to 100,000 mark on your business as your annual income, you should ask her, should I incorporate this business? Because it will definitely protect you from liability and it would lower your taxes that you pay for your business. Okay?
Okay.
But yeah, it sounds like she did the right thing as a sole proprietorship owner of a business.
Pero like what you said, sorry magtanong lang ulit ako. Like what you said, there are other forms that can be used.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's other forms. I can't remember what they are, pero there's other forms that you can use, but I'm not saying, I'm saying that whatever she used is right form to use. There's other forms that you can also use, because there's always other options with CRA anyway, right? There's multiple ways in terms of filing taxes. Sometimes there's really, once you get used to one, I would say maybe strategy or technique, as long as you stick to it, that's fine. And CRA will always correct you anyway if needed, right? They will correct you. They will send you a assessment, right? Everybody gets the
Okay.
assessment,
Yes,
every year.
yes.
So nothing to worry about. I think she did the right thing for you anyway.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay,
think-
there's another one. I'm not sure, Coach Marites, if this is a question. She just says we have to give the NSM authorization letter to our accountant too, so they will know more about our business. This can be found in Enagic web system.
Yeah, you can do that too. Correct. That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So they have the knowledge about the business. They can check it also in the CRA. Once they have the authorization letter, there is a link there that they can go to the CRA
Yep.
website. So our accountant will be more knowledgeable what our business. So it's just it's not a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's an
yeah.
added info.
Great,
Okay.
great input. But you know what? You guys should be able to describe how your business operates, right, to anyone. So that could be part of your elevator pitch. Remember, it could be part of the elevator pitch, I should say. So
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, no. To me, it should be easily describable to anyone or even an accountant as to how your business is running, right? It should be, I mean, it should be simple. And again, those accountants that, I mean, you can probably read the vibe or so, right? If they feel that they don't want the business or the service, then maybe it's time to move on to a different accountant. So next question, okay? Can I include gifts as business expense? So this one, I mean, I highly like, I mean, technically you can claim it, but there's a big, huge but. Because typically gifts business expense typically lands in miscellaneous expense. And miscellaneous expense, I can tell you all accountants don't like it. Because why? Because sometimes people cannot describe what the expense is about. Okay? With CRA, you have to be very, very determined why you're submitting an expense claim. What is it for? Okay. So I'm saying this gray area here, but typically, yes, you can expense a gift expense, and it cannot be too extravagant. Okay. It cannot be too high of an expense. Those are red flags to CRA. Okay. Because they're going to look at your revenue and then your gift expense is so very high. They're going to say there's something not right here, right? So you got to be careful in terms of expensing gifts. Okay, you got to be careful because, again, it typically lands in the miscellaneous expense category, and when this miscellaneous expense gets bigger and bigger in terms of an amount, it's a red flag. Okay, so one of the things that you have to think about as a business owner is you have to think about, is it worth submitting a claim for this amount, kind of thing, right? Because if your accountant says, you know what, that might be a red flag, or so, then for the amount, maybe it's not worth it, right? If the amount is, less than whatever amount it is, maybe it's not worth submitting it, right? But if you're filing it on your own, you also have to make that same question. You have to challenge yourself. So, do I really want to make this claim for this much money? I mean, like I said, gifts cannot be too much of an expense, right? It cannot be. I would say it could be, $100. I don't know, $100 maybe, or $150, whatever. Is it really worth it, right? Kind of thing. So things just gotta make sense. Things gotta make sense, and you just have to back it up in terms of when CRA asks. You got to make sure that you can explain it. So one of the things that I didn't tell you as well is bookkeeping, right? Bookkeeping is very, very important, right? You have to make sure that you make notes of your expenses. You got to make sure that you have a proper filing system. You have an envelope every year for 2025, 2024. Make sure they're separated. Those are your expense receipts and stuff like that. And to remind you, Now these days, a lot of the vendors are using thermal printed receipts, which fades. They fade. So you got to make sure that you have a backup plan, whether taking a picture or taking a photocopy of it, so that you have something that you can show CRA. Now, bookkeeping and record keeping is very, very important. CRA expects you to have 6 years of your record keeping of your taxes, but I would recommend 7 years back for your record keeping, because sometimes that 1 year is a spillover, or sometimes it's forgotten. So just keep in mind, CRA officially wants 6 years of your records, but keep it for 7 years. Okay, just my advice, because like I said, sometimes there's this 1 year spillover, and next thing you know, you're looking for your records after 6 years. Sorry, there's a question, Ating? Cielo?
Me, no, I don't have a question.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So, okay, for the business gifts, so every year we have Christmas virtual party, and I give some gifts to my business partners, kind of like tripods, ring lights, kind of like that, or mics. What do you consider those types of expenses? Are those office or just gifts expenses and fall under miscellaneous?
Well, like I said, if you're giving it as a gift, then it's a gift expense, which falls under miscellaneous, right? It really falls under miscellaneous. So I just want to caution you in terms of the amount that you're going to claim, because sometimes especially if you don't have any revenue and you're spending this much gifts, right? Then if that expense is higher than your revenue, then that's a red flag, right? So, it's a gray area. That's the thing. And you got to ask yourself, is it really worth it to claim this? Or it depends on the situation. To me, it depends on the amount, how much you're claiming. And typically gift expenses, typically not one person want to shoulder the gift expense. Normally it's shared by somebody else as a gift, right? Kind of thing. So just be careful. To me, if you can just explain, like you said, you give away a tripod, or whatever it is that you give, and just make a note of it and claim it and see. But again, you just have to make sure that you have a record of it and explain. You can explain to CRA. If it's legitimate, it's okay. It's fine, no problem. It's just that you don't want to trigger that audit, because when you trigger that audit, and by the way, this audit is system generated at first, okay? So the AI will scan your audit year over year, and it will record it. So once it sees that there's a spike somewhere, right? And it's okay. Again, if the spike is explainable, then that's fine, right? Like, let's say your revenue skyrocketed. You have a T4 anyway, right? So they'll look at the T4. Oh, okay, that's okay. You know what I mean? It's those changes, the spikes, that creates the question, and that triggers the audit, right? So that's why we just have to be very careful. And again, if you can explain it to them, no problem. That's not an issue. Not an issue. You just have to back it up.
So let's say for advertising, I'm spending a lot on advertising, and let's say last year I didn't get a lot of return. So will that be another trigger for CRA? Since let's say I'm a net loss, I have a net loss last year, and
Yeah. No, you know what? Like I said, it could trigger, but it's okay because you can explain it.
Yeah.
See, the issue here is that when you cannot explain it, that becomes an issue. But if you can explain it, so yes, I totally agree with you. Some businesses may run on a loss. As a matter of fact, for the past 5 years, most businesses are running as a loss because of the economy, right? So that's the trend, and you can you can claim because there's a business loss. As a matter of fact, when you have a business loss, a capital loss, you you can actually claim that. You can claim that every year for as long as 20 years, I think, or 15 or 20 years. You can actually, that capital loss, you can actually claim it against your taxes. Okay, the capital loss, right? But like to your point, if your advertising cost is much more than your revenue, that's okay. You can claim it, but you can because you can explain it. You can explain. You can show them the receipts of your ads, right?
Yeah.
And then your T4 will say, oh, your revenue is this. So you're still you're still good. Don't be afraid. By the way, don't be afraid when you get audited. Don't be afraid, right? Especially when you're filing your taxes by yourself. No, because CRA is just trying to make correction. Now, you can challenge them and say, hey, can you explain why this is the case? And they'll explain it to you. And I've done it. I've challenged CRA myself probably four times already, right? And they were able to explain it, right? So don't be afraid. As long as you can back it up, you have your notes, you have your bookkeeping, you have your record keeping. It's not an issue if you truly incurred that cost in running a business. Okay.
Okay. Additional. Sorry.
Sure.
For the past indirect costs.
Yes.
So, because my car have my website on the back of my vehicle, and then I use it every day, right? So the prices of gas is so high. Can I claim those ones under the utilities and then just multiply the annual expenses to 20%?
No. So gas is different. Gas you have to claim separately. It cannot be under the utilities. We're talking about car, automotive. Yeah. So no, you cannot claim that. When I'm talking about gas, is gas at home, your Enbridge gas or Union gas for the home. Yeah, this is vehicle, so that's separate. That's a separate cost. Now, so with a car situation, you have to keep track of your mileage for your business and what is your mileage for personal. Now, based on that ratio, that's where you can claim you can say advertising cost for the car. It's really advertising cost, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So mileage turns into like sort of a gas kind of thing. When you claim for mileage, gas is already included.
Okay.
Okay. When you claim for mileage, because let's say you traveled, I don't know, 5,000 kilometers this year for your business, that is a claim that turns into more of like a gas mileage type of expense. Okay, it's part. I guess what I'm saying is mileage, gas is included in it because they determine it based on mileage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome. Good question. Okay, so I think we talked about the gifts already. I think this is the last question. If I get a new cell phone, what is the process of claiming it as tax write-off, percentage, or whole amount? So cell phones are one of those things that you can claim now. CRA, this is actually taken from CRA. That's why I have it on quotes. Okay, so the answer is yes. The cost of the plan has to be reasonable. Okay, now CRA has a range of phone plans. They know what's reasonable. So they know, Roger's charging, I don't know, $100 per month or something like that, whatever, right? I'm just throwing a number. CRA knows those ranges. So you can claim that as, you can say as your direct expense because you're typically using it mainly for your business most of the time, right? Now, I know there will be some personal use on that phone as well, right? So I have a note here that says the cost of the plan has to be reasonably apportioned between employment and personal use. So you have to be able to explain to CRA, okay, you know what, I use my phone 20% personal and 80% for my business. So that ratio alone, you can say, okay, I can claim 80% of my cost, right? So you have to be able to explain that. Now, CRA, this is, again, one of those gray areas where CRA may say, okay, can you show me your minutes for your business, right? Number of minutes you use on your phone for your business and minutes number of your phone using for personal, right? They may ask that question, and that's why record keeping is very, very important, right? That's why sometimes you got to ask the question: should I claim this 100%? Like a cell phone, should I claim 100% of it, or should I only claim 75% of it? If you ask me the question, I'll say 75 to 80% claim, not 100%, because we use it for personal use, right? So you just have to, things just has to make sense, and things just has to be reasonable for CRA explanation. Okay. And my last point here, again, this is from CRA website. You are able to show the cellular minutes or data you consume directly while performing your business duties, as well as the cost of the minutes or data, right? This is coming from CRA itself. That's why I have it in quotes. So again, I would not, it's a direct cost, but to me, you can claim, I guess what I'm saying is you can claim it as a direct cost, but to me, I would claim it as an indirect cost because it's shared between your personal and business. Now, there's people that have a separate cell phone using for their business strictly, and that's okay. As a matter of fact, that's very good to do it that way, but it just adds more cost to you, right? And proper bookkeeping and stuff like that. To be honest, if you really want a proper bookkeeping and an accountant, a good accountant should also recommend this to you. You should have a separate bank account or separate credit card for your business. As much as possible, you don't want to use one credit card for your personal and for your business expense, because that just creates more issues, concerns, right? But I mean, I'm only suggesting that because that's really the most a clear way to track your expenses, right? You have a separate account, separate credit card. That's the most easiest way to do it, right? I mean, you can still do it using your personal credit card for both. You just have to itemize it. You have to itemize it, and that's where more record keeping or bookkeeping is needed. Okay. Yeah, so that would be a recommendation from an accountant. Trust me, they will tell you it's best that you can provide me statements, separate statements for your business, credit card statement, bank statement, whatever it is, right? That's their that would be their ask. So for those of you who are wanting more information, I mean, I took these are links. These are links, and I can share this with you. The slide, I can share this with you. I can send it to Ate Ying, and she can just cascade it to all of you. This is all the links to the CRA website and things that we talked about, and more for you to learn about the business, right? About your business expenses. So all these forms, and again, I think was it Gemma that asked the business expense form? So this is something that's the other form. I think if you were asking me how would I have done, or whatever form I would use, this is the business expense form, T2125, that you can also use, right? If you're filing it on your own. But these are all links that I've used for myself, for my business, for sharing the information to all of you. They're all here. They're all here. Okay, business registration. That's that tells you what, how to register your business, right? But for those people who are new to the business. So everything's here. Everything's here in terms of what we talked about tonight. Okay, really, that's all my presentation. I mean, thank you so much for the questions, but are there any other questions from you guys? Anyone?
Yeah. Can I still ask, Joseph?
Sure, yeah.
Gemma. Yeah, I actually had a T4A last year, but it's still
Okay.
a loss. Okay, because I'm still new in the business. My
Mhm.
question is, do you still recommend, even if it's a loss, to file for the expenses?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to remember, we have to be consistent.
Okay.
You have to be consistent, right?
Okay.
So like I said earlier, capital loss, you can claim year over year up to, I think, 15 to 20. I gotta check on that, but I think it's 15 to 20 years you can claim capital loss. So meaning, let's say let's say you lost, I don't know, 20,000 in the business, right? 20,000. You can actually claim portions of that for next 15 to 20 years as a capital loss. So you write it off as an expense, a capital loss, and that way you don't pay the taxes, right? You reduce your taxes, okay? It's called capital loss,
Mhm.
okay?
And
So
then
yeah, you
this
just
last, I'm sorry.
every year, so let's just say example, 20,000 is your capital loss. So every year you can claim, I don't know, there's a number, 5,000 every year you can claim as capital loss, or 6,000 a year, right? As long as you consume that 20,000, right, as a loss, because you can claim it. You're claiming it back in a way, right? Sorry, your other question?
Yeah, my last question is for those expenses like the GoDaddy,
Mm.
or not the GoDaddy, the Canva and the StreamYard, those are shared expenses because we are like in a team.
Yeah.
So of course I will only claim the portion that I paid. So that would
Yes.
be under indirect cost.
Yes. Very good. Yeah. So Gemma, just make sure again, that receipt, make sure you put the names of the people, right? The date, tapos yung share ng cost mo or whatever, right? So $150 divided by 4 people, whatever, right? Just make notes of those, right?
Okay.
That's good record keeping, okay? Especially on the shared or indirect expenses, right?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions?
But if you're paying for those Canva yourself, that will be a direct cost.
Yes. Yeah. Like me, I walang mag-share sa akin, so I had to pay. It's a direct cost.
And also for the business card, like the business credit card, can we just go to the bank and open a new credit card and then we can just use it for business, or we need to apply for an actual business credit card?
No, I would not do that. I would just apply for a personal credit card.
Yeah.
Just separate under your name, right? Under your name, and just don't do the business. So, alam mo, when you start talking business to mga business activities to
The banks.
the banks, and they charge you like everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything is a charge, transaction wise and stuff like that. So as much as possible, all the accountant wants is, I want a separate statement for my credit card, separate statement for my expenses. That's it. Yun lang gusto. Accountant does not want to see personal use or personal expense. No, kasi that's to them that's, they can say malpractice, but it isn't. It's really making it harder for them to do reconciliation, right? So, but yeah, no, just do a personal credit card. Just open up another one, like apply for it, but the annual fees. Actually, meron mga credit card ngayon na libre, right? There's no annual dues, right? So get those. But there's the credit cards that if I recommend, as a financial coach, I recommend cashback. Credit card cashback that you use for your business or even personal, but cashback or points.
Points.
Those credit cards are really worth it, right? They're worth it. Yeah, I would recommend that. Just did a cashback or points credit cards.
So you mentioned about the annual fee. We can claim that one.
Yes, you can claim the
And
annual.
also, for debit cards, there is a monthly fee. We can claim those ones. On debit card, there's a service fee every month. Can we claim those ones?
Is it business though? Is it business use?
It's just in general, debit card, there's a, no?
If it's a business transaction, yes. If it's a business transaction on your credit card, yes, you can claim that cost. Pero if it's personal, you cannot.
Let's say for your credit card, you have an interest, like monthly interest. Can you claim those ones because you use the
Yes.
card for business expense?
If you use it for your business, yes. But again, you try to avoid those things because those are what they call sometimes discretionary cost and stuff like that, right? As much as possible, CRA, any loan interest are typically questionable, and you have to explain them really well with CRA. But I mean, if it's again, if it's legit, it's legit. You have to claim it. But the ones that are questionable are the ones that are the gray area again, right? You got to stay away from the gray area. And again, that's why you always have to ask yourself, is it worth to claim this expense? And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying if you have a good reason, a business reason why you're claiming this, then go ahead. No, there's no issue. If, like I said, if you can explain to CRA, there's no problem there. No problem at all. Okay.
I think if you use one, like as Coach Marita said here, according to our accountant, to use one credit card for all your businesses, then if there's any interest, you can show that.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
kasi it's hard to justify the interest kung ginagamit mo for personal use yung credit card na ginagamit mo.
Yeah. That's
So,
why.
you can
Yeah.
always open any other credit cards na walang annual fee and or
Yes.
low limit para lang sa mga ads natin. We can
Mhm.
use, we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Highly recommend to open up a separate credit card. Yes, for sure. For the business, for the business. Yeah.
Mhm.
Joseph, can you remove your, can you unshare?
Sorry.
Para makita natin lahat.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Nakita na natin lahat.
We
Sorry,
have
late ka na.
One more question, please.
Sure, yeah.
Yes. How about dun sa mga receipts na nare-receive natin through our email? Like, you know, when we give a gift through PayPal, we have a receipt coming to our email. Those are soft copies. Do we need to make a hard copy or print out those papers? Kasi just for
You
proof
can
or
actually keep it electronically. If you're really good in organizing and stuff, you can actually create a folder electronically, right, and put it in there. Pero the problem is that you have manual receipts, right? That's the problem. And how do you keep them together? So I will highly recommend to either choose. Do you want to just take those receipts and make photos of them and put it in one folder with all your e-receipts, right? That's one way. Or make copies of the e-receipts and join it with the paper copies of your receipt. But again, your receipts, those are thermal printed receipts. Be careful. They fade.
I know,
fade,
yeah.
right? So you might as well take a photo of it, right? And might as well keep everything as electronic copies, right? Because you have to take a picture of it anyway, or you have to scan it anyway, right? Your hard receipts. So again, having a folder on every year, every taxation, a business expense folder, and just put everything there, and make sure you back it up.
Yes,
Make sure you back it up in USB, and make sure it's 2 backups.
Okay.
Coming from an IT, make sure there are 2 backups, 2 USBs. Okay.
Okay.
2.
Yeah, I
not
do.
1.
What I do whenever I receive a receipt, in my email, I have a folder,
Good.
business receipt folder. I move it to that folder.
Yeah.
But those are the email receipt. But for the actual receipt, yeah, I agree with you. It faded. Most of my
fades.
receipts 2 years ago, they're gone, and I
Yeah.
don't have backup of those.
Yeah. No, you remember.
Especially
ahead.
when I went back home in the Philippines, I think the printing is not that good. In just 3
Yeah.
months, it's gone.
Wala na.
There's
Wala
small.
Right.
Wala nang proof.
Right.
So
Joseph,
recommend.
meron akong nakalimutan, hindi ko nakita to kanina.
Okay.
Si Imelda may nagtanong siya, I don't know, are you still gonna ask this question, Sis Imelda? Will this apply to renewing UCON as well? Is that like from the beginning? Sorry, I missed that.
Yes, I think he already answered that
Oh, okay.
question.
The
It's
answer
in that
is
renewal. Yeah.
100% yes. You should claim it as an expense. Yeah. I think it's under, if I'm not mistaken, it's license fees or dues. Because it's a license, right? The UCON is a license, right?
So fortunately for me, the lady who's doing my taxes every year has another lady who's doing this business. So she's aware of what you are talking about.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
Yes.
good.
And
That's
she's not even an accountant. Sometimes I agree to what you said, Joseph. Sometimes a lot of accountants or even H&R Block, a lot of them are not very, they don't have their patience
Yeah.
to dig deeper to what
I'll-
they don't know.
Yeah, I'll be honest with all of you, huh? I'll be honest with all of you. One of the problems that the banks are having today is intellectual knowledge.
Mm.
One of the problems the banks are having today is intellectual knowledge from experience. Kasi changing of the guards, right? Changing the guards. So the old folks are retiring and the newcomers are coming in. The problem is that they didn't have proper training and they didn't have the right mentorship and they didn't have the right. I mean, that's just one example. Okay, that's one example. So that's why it's come to a point where we all have to be, you can say aggressive in a way, but we all have to educate ourselves, be aware of whatever we're doing for our personal lives and business. Because, I've challenged a lot of advisors. I still do today. I challenge them because things don't make sense to me, and I ask the question. I mean, nicely. I'm not disrespecting them whatsoever. Pero I challenge them because they will offer the services, pero they cannot execute. They cannot give you what you're supposed to be getting, and that's the problem. That's the problem because now quality is degrading. That's the problem, right? Because we don't have the experienced people, right? Changing of the guards. But the problem is they weren't training or they weren't mentoring the newcomers well enough to keep up with the quality that they had before. And that's a true fact. I'm sorry. I mean, accountants, lawyers, you name it. I mean, financial planners, right? Retirement planners. You have to really challenge and you have to really know. You really have to know. And you can learn from them. I'm not saying don't learn from them. Yeah, you can learn from them by asking the right questions. Because if you don't ask the right questions, guess what? It's, it'll be on you. It'll be on you, right? Because let's say you're not getting the right service or the right expectations from them. Well, what happens, right? So don't be afraid to challenge them. I mean, challenge in a good way. I'm saying, okay. I'm not saying disrespect them. Challenge them in a way that you, by educating yourself, you're now speaking or understanding the same level as them. Just because they have a license, just because they're certified, doesn't mean they have all the answers. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, they don't have any patience because they have more clients coming, but
Yes.
on the line.
Pang masa, they want masa, right? They want mass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So forget the quality. Forget the
Yes.
quality of masa because that generates revenue, right? But they're forgetting one thing. They're forgetting their credibility. They're forgetting that. Because once that credibility goes away, there won't be any clients.
Your client, yeah.
There won't be clients. They won't.
Mhm. And the more receipts you're giving them, the more you have to pay.
Yeah.
The more they charge you.
Oh, that's wrong.
Yeah, I experienced it.
That's totally wrong. That's totally wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay, I
guys,
guess
any
that's
more
just how to
questions?
discourage
Sorry.
people. Okay.
I
Yeah.
have a question.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Someone question.
Go ahead.
Hi, Joseph, it's me again. Okay, you have mentioned like in this business, if you are starting earning revenue, say for example, 60 to 200,000 a year, you can advise to turn that into like a proprietorship or incorporated, something like
Incorporation.
that. Okay, like for us, not making that much revenue yet, it's okay not to apply for a business. Okay,
don't.
that's my question.
Yeah, don't. There's no point. There's no point. So
Yeah.
one of the biggest thing with incorporating your business is one, you pay lower taxes, and number two, it protects you from liability. Those are
Right.
really the two benefits. Those are
Okay.
really the only two benefits. But us Canadians is okay with it. But in the US, if you ask me that same question, in the US, they're very aggressive in terms of suing people. So
Okay.
people incorporate right away in the US
Right.
because they don't want to
Well,
get.
yeah. The reason I asked, because I know there's some new business owners here, and they already, applied for a business license, and just like, I've been here for so many years, I haven't applied it yet because I'm
Yeah.
not generating so much revenue yet. So, okay. So thank you for that question. It kind of
But-
clarify my situation.
But you brought up a good point, because when you incorporate your business, you have to pay higher fees.
Okay.
You do.
Okay.
It's higher. Accountant will charge you higher if you incorporate your
Right.
business. But I mean, it's a write-off. Okay. Again, it's professional fee that you're paying your accountant. So let's say you incorporate your business, they charge now $1,000, right? That $1,000 you can claim as your expense, right? Professional expense, right? So it's a write-off, is what I'm saying. So this is one of the reasons why to me, if the business can afford it, hire an accountant, because you can write it off, and you're protected. The accountant will always be your buffer between CRA and yourself.
Right.
So a great peace of mind, as long as the accountant is good, the accountant is doing his or her job, then that investment of $1,000, which you can write off, it's worth it. Now, accountant, like I said, becomes your best friend, your BFF forever. Not just
They're good.
not just someone filing your taxes. No. You're going to ask them question. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, how can I be more efficient on my personal taxes? How can I save more on my retirement? Or can you model something for me so that I know how much I need before I reach a retirement age? They should do that for you, and that's free. That should be free, because it doesn't take long to plug in the numbers on their system. It doesn't. I'll tell you, it costs $4, $5, because there is a system that I use. It's $4 or $5, and accountants use it as well, right? It's called advice.ca, right? So for me for you to ask your accountant that question, if he or she is a good accountant, they will model that for you, your retirement plan. They will. They've done it before, right? So use your accountant to your advantage, right? I'm not saying abuse them or so. No. They become your advisor. They become your professional advisor, and that is a long-term relationship, right? Not just filing taxes. Okay. Okay. We have questions, people.
No
question
question.
again. I have a question again.
Okay.
Okay.
So, let's say you're earning in this business. What percentage as a business owner should I put on the side so that I get myself ready for tax filing next year? Because our commission doesn't have tax, right? We get full commission. How much do we have to save? What percentage do we have to save on every checks that we receive?
Well,
Let's say
that all
we pay 1,200.
that all depends on your expenses and how much you want to keep, really, right? It all depends on your operating expense. If that's the basis of how your revenue is going to get into net income, right? So to me, there's really no percentage. I mean, if you wanna keep 60% of it, that's great. That's a good starting point. But sometimes when you're starting a new business, it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes it's like the reverse. It's 40-60, 60% expenses and 40% revenue, right? Sometimes like that, right? Or sometimes 25% revenue and 75% expenses. It's possible because you're starting off. You're starting a new business, right? In a traditional business, so you probably wonder how I know all this thing, right? All these things. My wife and I used to own a massage therapy business in Square One here in Mississauga, Ontario. We owned it for 5 years, right? So it was a franchise. So all these things that I'm telling you is based also on traditional business that I've learned with my accountant in terms of filing our taxes. So that's sort of how I got my feet wet in terms of running a business before. So to me, to your question, you'd be lucky if you get 50-50, right? The first 5 years. And believe it or not, the first 5 years are the most critical time on a traditional business, especially on a restaurant. Restaurant, if they last 5 years, they'll do okay. But if they don't last 5 years, that's the critical point on a restaurant, right? So yeah, I mean, I'd say 50-50 for now. And if you can increase it even better, 60-40, 60% revenue and 40% expense, that's probably a good ratio. But it's difficult. That's very difficult to do because you don't know how much your advertising cost would be, especially when you're dealing with Meta, right? I mean, it's very expensive. $15 a day. $15 a day, and depending on how many clicks and how many views, looking at what, 900 a month, maybe 900 a month. I don't know, right? So and then you don't have them. The good thing about this digital business though is that it's high ticket item, right? So one sale or whatever, trifecta, quadfecta, you make it, right? So one thing that our coaches always mention to us, whatever revenue you get, make sure you take a portion for your advertising cost, right? Reinvest it, right? And again, that's up to you. You can do 20%, 30%. That's a good number to reinvest back into your business advertising cost. But some people are very aggressive with the advertising cost, right? So again, it's your preference. Really that comes down to your preference. But if you can do 60-40, 60 revenue, 40% expenses, that's pretty good start. Pretty good. Okay. Any other questions?
No, it's over na. Over na tayo ng 1 hour.
Well, I hope you learned something. Kahit,
I did.
they say even our events, only 20% of information is retained. Statistics have shown 20% of information is retained, right? But now we have replays. So maybe that 20% is going to be higher because you can always replay it.
Yeah.
Watch the replay, right? So, but yeah, no, that's the historical.
You know what,
historical
last year I just wanted to let everybody know kasi ako yung first year ko, hindi ako nag-claim ng mga product ko and everything kasi I wasn't making anything, right? And then the second year, it's like, so I met Joseph, says, no, you can still claim it, blah, 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 whatever. And like, I was so nervous. So I claim it and I got good refund.
Wow.
So, sabi nung mister ko, are you sure baka ma-audit tayo, right? Sabi ko, may resibo naman ako, no, whatever I paid for it, right? As long as you have receipt, right?
Yes.
So, maganda yung aking refund. So, I'm looking forward for my tax again this year kasi nag-renew ako ng book, right?
That's good.
So, makinig kayo sa kanya. I mean, I listen and kasi sabi ko, oh my God, I don't know, parang sayang naman, laki ng gastos ko, whatever, right? But I think I got everything back na, so I'm happy.
Make sure you keep track of your fiscal year, huh? Your fiscal year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Dahil hindi lang naman yun ang business ko, we have other businesses. So, naka-separate na yon kaya.
Very good. Galing.
Okay, guys. Any other questions? Kasi lumagpas na tayo ng 1 hour. Matutulog na ang lola.
I know, it's too late.
I hope guys...
Smiko has a question. Smiko.
Sorry, kasi I'm on
have
the road
only a-
still going home. So, just to piggyback on your sharing as Ying, right? Like you said that you were able to claim like last year's, is it there the capital expense like for the machine or the renewal? So I'm gonna ask bro, Joseph, how far back can you claim? Like, for example, I didn't claim any Pukon renewal for the current fiscal.
I mean, to me, like I said, your fiscal year is very important, right? When you launch your business, very important to I would say, to note that or to submit that to CRA, right? So, how far can you claim? I would say 3 years. I'd say 3 years you could claim. When you get into 4 years, you really have to explain. But again, if you have an explanation, you have something that you can write to them or explain to them, that's okay. But to me, 3 years is probably the number,
The longest.
the longest
Don't wait
I
too
would say.
long.
Yeah.
You have to claim it right away.
Yeah,
Don't wait
definitely.
too long.
Kasi,
My
kasi,
recommendation would be is claim it right away.
Mhm.
kasi I have the question kasi I just do our own taxes, like me and my husband, since I came to Canada, and then so he has his own home-based business as well. So
Yeah.
we share the expenses, and then like for my online business kasi like you're not sure, right? Should I claim this, because especially if you don't have enough revenue, right? So I've always been net business loss, and it's praise God, so I've been having like getting refund, right? So now I want to make sure that I am accounting all the expenses and putting every expense, although like, oh, it's a big net loss, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's comforting to know that you said that we can be at a loss for what, more than 10 years, right? Every year, because like for me, I've been net loss since.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, right? So if you have a capital loss on your business,
Okay.
you can submit or claim that for the
Okay.
next, I think 15 to 20 years, right?
Oh,
I think it's 15 to 20. You can claim, year over year, you can claim it because it's a capital loss that you lost for the business.
okay.
Now,
But okay.
Canada's economy has always been suffering for the longest time now. So capital loss is in a way becoming, I mean, CRA understands that when you go into a business, it's not 100% positive the first year. They know that there's a curve, no? The expenses are higher than your revenue. They know that. That's the basic principle of running a business, right? Kaya ano nga minsan nga nasusurprise sila sa mga taong when they start a business, their revenue is already overtaking their expenses. They actually question those things, to be honest with you, right? They rather question those than questioning that you have expenses for the first 5-6 years, more expenses than your revenue. Because that's really how the traditional business works. Remember, online business, it's in a way it's evolving, right? It's evolving. It really just picked up during COVID, right? Online business, really, to be honest with you, that's where everything shifted towards an online business, really, because it became proven that online business is the way to go because it's more safer, right? More safer to invest in. So CRA, truly believes that starting a business is not always going to be positive the first 5-6 years. They know that. They expect that already, right? So capital loss to them is normal, right? It's normal. But I'm not saying take advantage of it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if you have a capital loss, sure, claim it as long as you have justification for it, right? Business justification for it. Okay. Now the good thing about the sole proprietorship, because your expenses, you're actually claiming it against your business revenue and your personal income, right? That's the good part. But still, Canada is paying 100% on salary. That 100% taxes on the salary, right? 100%. So if you're earning $100,000, you're 100% taxed working for an employer. Where on the business side, you'll probably get taxed between 28 to 35%. So it's always best to have a business, kahit side hustle lang. Kasi it sort of offsets, not 100%, but it sort of offsets. You get a what we call tax break. That's what Ate Yig is saying. I got a good refund. Well, because it was offsetting also her personal income, right? But to me, if you can get away from salary based or wage based here in Canada, as soon as you can, it's better. Because again, hopefully the business takes off, and hopefully you no longer have to pay 100% of your salary from working for an employer. Right? Really, that's where all our taxes are going. Really, it's so high. I don't know, you've heard the news, 42%, right? Average, 42% for Canadians were paying taxes. Well, okay, that's Ontario. Sorry. Ontario, 42%. Can you imagine 42% of your 100,000?
Income. Yeah.
42,000.
Okay, Joseph. That's for the next session. It's
Yeah.
about retirement ang pag-uusapan
Oh,
natin.
okay. Yeah, sure,
Magaling
sure.
din siya sa retirement planning. So if you guys want to attend that, he's gonna have to be my speaker again. So let's cut this down na kasi 10:30 na eh.
Okay. I enjoyed
I'm gonna
the
stop the
question.
recording now.